And it's time now for the big board. Our team of insiders all lined up to weigh in on today's top stories. We're going to begin with that outrage over a 6-month sentence imposed on a former Stanford University swimmer. He was convicted of sexual assault, and his victim read a very powerful statement aloud in court. It's gone viral, more than 4 million views. Dan Abrams, chief legal analyst, joins us right now. Dan, let's start out with all that outrage we're hearing about. Was the sentence too lenient?
Well, there's no question it was a lenient sentence. He was facing up to 14 years. Prosecutors asked for 6 years. He had asked for 4 months. The judge gave him 6 months. But let's keep in mind that that is exactly what the probation department recommended, that 6-month sentence. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't criticize it, but the reality is that this judge accepted the probation department's recommendation of a 6-month sentence. And so when people are looking at this case, thinking about this case, getting angry about this case, it's not just the judge, it's the probation department as well.
Dan, I want to read part of what the victim said in her statement. She said the fact that Brock was a star athlete at a prestigious university should not be seen as an entitlement to leniency, but as an opportunity to send a strong cultural message that sexual assault is against the law regardless of social class. We know the message was heard, it was viewed, but will it be received? Will anything be done with that?
Well, her statement was so eloquent, and I think that this case is now getting so much attention, not just because of the sentence itself, but because of her eloquence, because her comments have been shared so much. So I do think that that's going to have an impact. I think she's having an impact with her words, with her advocacy, with her anger and frustration at this sentence. And this is one of those cases where it resonates beyond the courtroom, where the impact can be felt in other courtrooms where people remember that case about that Stanford student. I think this one will have that kind of impact.
Yeah, the power of the court of public opinion. All right,
absolutely.
Dan, thank you very much for that.
Kicked off with a little advice from Steve Harvey. He joked about that stumble he had at the Miss Universe pageant. Take a look.
The best thing I can tell you is no matter what happens, under no circumstances do you say Miss Columbia.
This is Miss USA, so, Miss Columbia is not even in it.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't care. Don't go nowhere near it. Don't mention Columbia, period. Don't coffee, nothing.
What if she's from the District of Columbia?
Just say DC.
Well, funny enough, as it happens, Miss District of Columbia did take home the crown, and the pageant's new owner is focusing on more than just physical beauty this year. Alyssa Campanella, former Miss USA and fashion blogger for the A-List, is joining us. Thanks for being with us. So did they succeed, by the way? Was this year's pageant more focused on getting to know more about the women and not just about the evening gowns and the pageantry?
Absolutely. My year at Miss USA was just a 2-hour show, but over the past few years, it's turned into a 3-hour show. That way to make it more about the girls, showcase their stories, their backgrounds, where they came from. I mean, for example, Miss DC, now Miss USA, she not only is a beautiful girl, but she has a great backstory. She proudly serves in the military. Her family proudly serves in the military, and they're showcasing that she's more than just a beauty queen.
Yeah, and her answer on serving the military was really powerful last night. The questions were kind of tough, including one that got some boos to Miss Hawaii. Take a look at this.
If the election were held tomorrow, would you vote Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump for president, and why would you choose one over the other?
I would get that, right?
Well, you heard the boos right there, Alison. I think they didn't like the fact that she was being put on the spot like that.
Yeah, she was being put on the spot. It's pretty daring of a question to ask a contestant live on camera in front of a live audience and with an international audience as well, whether you're Trump, Clinton, or even Sanders. I mean, to ask a contestant who they're voting for, basically, it should be a personal preference, and some people like to keep it private. I mean, my mom never tells me who she votes for. So.
But her answer was very eloquent.
It was very eloquent. She obviously didn't feel comfortable saying who she would vote for, but the way she answered the question was the way a Miss USA should answer a question, which is to be politically correct, don't offend anyone, but still show your opinion as best as you can.
You can't blame her for not wanting to offend half the audience, no matter what she says. Hey, guys, that was great. Thank you all very much. Great to have you today. Thanks to Dan, Larry, and Alyssa.